if you're a number one athlete, you've got a skill and a mindset and a belief set that is probably very different to the average guy in the street.
Yeah.
If you see these things, yeah, come on my training course and you're going to be a zillionaire in, whatever, 20 minutes. Yeah,
You've seen it then. You've seen the exact one I was at. Yeah, I thought so. I just wonder whether those sort of dinosaurs existed.
They may do, but I've not come across them. Maybe I'm just lucky.
Maybe you're lucky.
Because if you don't believe what you do, you might as well just go work for a corporate PLC and just, turn up at 9 o'clock every day and do your thing and be on that hamster wheel if that's what you want. Nothing against that.
Is that what people who work for corporate PLCs do? Is it they just turn up at 9 o'clock, clock in, clock out, and that's it? They don't care.
I'm probably exaggerating a little bit because I know some of those people work very, very, very hard.
On today's episode of The Engaging Marketeer, I am speaking to Tony Nutley, who is an NLP trainer, that's neuro-linguistic programming, and he went from the corporate world, sitting in the glass box doing corporate-y stuff, to starting out on his own as a trainer. So I'm going to be talking to him about how he did that, how he found the transition from going to employed on a very well-paid job to running his own business, how he got his clients, how he got his business off the ground, and just what exactly is the power of NLP. If you've not heard of it or you've not used it, you're going to find this extremely interesting. What made you want to actually coach people on leadership and get involved with helping others with their business?
Crikey.
I know, nice simple question to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I guess there are several answers I could come up with, but I guess the fundamental thing is I always tell people, I do what I do because I love what I do, but in many ways it happened by an accident. So,
Best things do happen by accident.
Yeah, I mean, I worked at the time, this is like, 30 years ago, feels like a lifetime ago now. I worked for the largest optician group in the UK, and foolishly, they promoted me. And it was clear to me that I was out of my depth, managing a sales team and a clinical team across the entire United Kingdom was not in my skill set. I did the best I could do based on sort of, occasionally pressurizing people to do more work and all of those kinds of things. Well, this isn't going to fly for this is not a strategy that's going to live. Went up to HR, I said, look, you got to help me, send me some training, get me some more team members, something. They sent me on a training and the light was lit. And it was a change management program with some leadership stuff, some coaching stuff, some other personal or professional development things in there. But fundamentally, the whole program was developed from the philosophy, if you will, the models and tools of NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming. And I took to it like a duck to water, if I can use that sort of analogy, because it seemed to be so obvious once you knew it and you applied the tools, the models, and the approach, sort of mental attitude and approach, and attitude is the real word I always think for that. We got instant results, and we took a firm that was just doing okay, some months not so great, to being worth millions, and to be sold to a big corporate. And I'm very, very proud of the part that I played in that process. But as that happened, I began to realize I got more and more interested in how people are able to bring the best of themselves to the job, or this notion that we had back in the 90s, bring yourself to work type thing, but the best version of you to work, so that you not just you do your job, because can all just do our job, but you do it in a way that actually you enjoy it and you get something out of it, and people say, oh, great, well done, you're seeing added value. And so that then led to me thinking, okay, well, how could I do this for myself, not just in the corporate world that I was working in at the time. And after a few conversations with some friends and my partner, decided to quit my safe corporate job and set up business on my own. And that's how UK CPD was born. And so one of the things straight away that we started doing was working with leaders, because I'd done that obviously in my old job. And so I worked a lot with optics, opticians everywhere, and the professional bodies, and we did lots and lots of training and work around, people, communication skills. What is it you really, really want for you, for your team, and so on and so on. So I guess that's the condensed version of how I ended up where we ended up.
There's two things I wanted to unpack there on what you said. I hate the word unpack. That's such corporate bingo. But there's two things I wanted to unpack in what you said. The first one was that they sent you on a training course and then you inevitably went on and did work for yourself. That's
Yeah,
always the big fear with businesses. If I send a member of my team, whether it's management or whoever it is, on a training course and they get better at what they do and they learn more,
yeah,
what happens if they leave and go off and do it by themselves, which is exactly what you did. What's
yeah,
your
sure.
take on that fear of businesses with that?
Well, it'll be worse if you don't send them on the training because they'll be very poor at their job.
Yeah.
And so, whilst I did quit, I mean, I stayed for a lot longer than maybe I ought to have in the job, and we added huge value. And the amount of training I did, not just for that company, but then they subbed me out to other companies to help them develop and train as well.
Well, so
So
they got their money's worth out of you then.
they got their money's worth. And I remember I went in to see my boss and I said, I want to resign. And he said, no, you can't resign. And I said, no, I want to leave. I want to do my own thing. And he goes, have you got enough customer base, enough money coming in right now to pay your mortgage? And I kind of went, well, no, but I mean, I've got some savings. And he goes, you don't want to quit your job, go part-time. And I went, you're going to let me go part-time? And he went, yep, I don't want to lose you. I know you got to go do your own thing, but now's not the right time for you to leave and you haven't got the customer base, go part-time. And actually him doing that was probably the luckiest thing
Hmm.
in a way, because it allowed me to keep my corporate job. And to be fair to them, they paid me pretty much the same salary. I mean, they made a slight adjustment, but they were very generous. And to build my own business. And so
You got to have your cake and eat it then, pretty much.
I did, and I do feel very lucky about that. And I do tell people, if people come on our courses and they say, I'm going to train you to be a coach, they've got a big job. I said, don't quit your job, build the business up over time, even if it's just at weekends and evenings, a few clients here and there. Don't just go bam, because obviously you've got bills to pay or kids to feed or whatever it is,
Yeah, that's
So
very
yeah,
true. The other thing you mentioned, which I have to pick up on, you said the company you were working with was doing okay. You did this course, you discovered NLP, and as a result, you helped grow the business to multi-millions, and they sold it for a huge sum.
huge sum.
Huge sum. What parts of NLP did you pick up that made a difference in the business, and how did it make the difference?
Oh, crikey. Well, the first thing was communication. It was understanding what's really, really important to the individual. So, communication skills, people think, oh, well, you've got to speak this way and you've got to use those words. No, 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 no. What you really have to do is understand what the other person really wants to hear, and you speak their language. So very basic things like VAK, visual, auditory, kinesthetic. If you can hear that in somebody's language, you match it, you create rapport, you understand what they want, outcomes, clear goals. What is it they want from you for your business? And you match that, in a real meaningful way, not in a kind of a, politician's way of saying, oh, our plan is to do stuff, because we're hearing a lot of that at the moment.
Mm.
That's not what I'm talking about. It's being really genuine, interested. How can I help you? And communicating in such a way that you make that connection, a real connection, human connection, that makes the biggest difference. There's that. And then the other thing, of course, is around leadership, and the most important type of leadership is self-leadership. I'm leading myself and I'm leading my team if I've got a team. Some people had small teams around them, but you got to lead yourself. And that means about being, having a sense of integrity, knowing why you're doing the job and you want to do the job. And it's not like, oh God, I have to drag myself out of bed every morning. Because if that's the case, that's the wrong job for you. And your own self-leadership should say, right, I need to change my career options and do something different. And I know people would say, yeah, well, Tony, it's easy to say that.
Mm.
Putting it into practice is probably more challenging. True, but a little bit of effort now will save a whole world of pain later down the road.
And
So they were the kind of things. And then one other thing was having a very clear outcome for each team. This notion of well-formed outcomes. What do we want? For what reason this goal or this outcome? And what's the strategy to get there?
Mm. And when you say communication as well, presumably that's not just communication with external parties and clients, that's communication internal as well.
Yeah. In fact, in many ways, that's even more important. So that, it's joined up and the left hand does know what the right hand is doing.
So you mentioned identifying when you're talking to somebody to find out whether they are visual, audible, or kinesthetic. How
Yeah.
can you spot that?
You listen. So it's the old salesman's sort of slogan, you got two ears and one mouth.
Hmm.
If you listen and you really pay attention to what people are saying to you, the actual words, you will pick up on it very, very, very quickly. It's one of the things we train in our program, and people always think, oh, how am I ever going to learn to do this? The way I did it was, a lot of work, my work was on the phone, and I would sit and I'd have a little sticky on my computer, say, right, today you're going to focus 100% listening out for visual clues or visual kinesthetics or predicates. And then after a while, your brain I don't even think about it now, I just hear it. Not that I go around listening all of the time, or they this or they that. It's when I have to, I do. I kind of just slip into it. Just like when you get into your car, you don't think, oh, now I've got to become the driver and I've got to put the key in, and you just do it. And it's just, now I'm the driver and I'm driving the car. So it's just when I'm coaching or training, that's what I'm doing.
So when you do listen out for that, how do you respond to that to make sure the other person, well, they don't realize you're doing it, do they? But
I don't know, of course not.
Respond better to you.
Yeah, it's just in an elegant way. You match as much of the language as you can that's meaningful, not like a robot. Oh, he said the word see, so I have to use the word see. That's just, obviously that's not going to fly because you sound like an idiot. So you have to, in an elegant way, try and match some of the sayings, the metaphors, the language of, basically it's the model of their world. You're trying to step into the model of their world. And if you do that, you form a rapportful connection, and well, then after that, the world's your lobster, as the saying goes.
And it's really that powerful that it can
Extremely
essentially
so.
transform the direction of a business.
Yeah. So Tad James, was one of the early NLP developers. He said, if you ain't got rapport, you ain't got nothing. And I completely believe in that. If you cannot, you could be the cleverest person, you could have the answer to the world's problems. But if you can't communicate in such a way that people understand you and want to get involved in that project or that idea, then it's wasted. So that's such an important skill, to be able to create rapport and communicate in a meaningful, understood way.
And how many business leaders and sales teams would you think are actually aware of this and using it?
Well, all the progressive ones do, because obviously they spend money on time on training programs and professional development programs for themselves, of course, in the first instance, but also for their teams. One of the sort of, I think, phenomenons of the last few years is how many senior people have put themselves through, taking time away from their desks, and put themselves through training programs to become a coach or to learn coaching skills. You think, well, why are they doing that? Because coaching per se has become the new management and leadership model, because it's so effective. Because you're empowering people all of the time, and you're listening and you're believing in them, and you're saying, yeah, there is a problem here. What do you think? Let's just have a discussion. How would we know this was working? And you coach out of them the genius that's in them, rather than control and command. I've got all the answers, which of course I probably don't. So that methodology encourages that kind of thinking. I need to be in rapport, I need to have a vision for the team, and I need to empower the team with more of a coaching type approach, as opposed to obey.
Obey. And do you find yourself using it, or is it actually useful outside of a business environment as well?
Sure, in life, you want to be a better person, don't you? You want to get on with your community, your family, your friends, wherever, bartering at the market, wherever it might be. You want to be able to speak in such a way that you have influence, and you can make that connection with other human beings.
And I was going to say, is this the sort of power that you could actually use for nefarious schemes?
Sure. Have you met any politicians?
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, some people do, because and there are a few people online who I won't say their names, but are well known for using NLP techniques for, to use your word, nefarious and inappropriate, ways. And some of them are quite famous, but for all the wrong reasons, unfortunately. But it's, people always say, oh, the problem with NLP is it can be used by bad people for bad things. So can a kitchen knife, so can nuclear power. It's a choice about how you use these things, and so you got to use them for good.
I've seen a lot of people selling courses, selling dreams, selling ideas.
Yeah.
And I've seen them use NLP for that. And I've seen the power and the impact it actually has on people in the room.
Yeah.
And you'd swear that it was made up, that
Yeah.
they were plants in the room, people in tears over
Yeah.
being able to buy a course or sign up to a program. And it is staggering. It is staggering the impact that it can have. And I'm never sure if the people using it are genuine or if they're using it because they just want to take money from people.
Yeah. So I bet I'm very, very clear about this. And, I get lambasted sometimes by people I know. They say, don't say things like that, but I will say it is, if somebody comes to you and they're trying to sell you some shiny dream, be aware that there may be a snake oil salesman somewhere in that presentation, because I can give you the best tool. I can give you, the best tools in the world, the best models, the best training. But unless you put it into practice and use, you might as well be throwing your money into the back of the fire. So yes, I'm selling you something that will be useful for you, but I'm not selling you your dream. I'm selling you the tools to enable you to create your own dream. And there's a big, big difference. If you see these things, yeah, come on my training course and you're going to be a zillionaire in, whatever, 20 minutes. Yeah,
You've seen it then. You've seen the exact one I was at. Yeah,
we've seen them. Yes, that's unfortunate because it's clearly unethical and it's not true. And there are a lot of these things. Come on our 5-day course or 4-day boot camp, and you'll become certified in 57 other things, and you'll be a master of this. And you think, do me a favor, that's not going to happen, because you would need a lot longer to learn some of those methodologies and tools, but also then you've got to apply them into your life or your business or whatever, and that's going to take more time. So you have to be careful about what you buy when it comes to things like that. Buy the tools, yes. Buy somebody else's idea of what makes you happy, no, because that's not true. How would they know what makes you happy? It's like a false. It's another, kind of what is it? Well, it's a lie. Let me use that word, because it's not true. How can you possibly know what would make me happy? You don't know me. So it's stupid.
And I've never done NLP. I've seen other people use it very effectively. And I know people that have done it, but it's something I think I would be interested in, because I do a lot of selling. I do a lot of conversations to people about selling products and services. So if I wanted to go down that route, what's the best path for me, and how long does it take to do it for me to become, I don't know, expert at it, being able to use it?
Depends on what you want. And like anything, skill-wise or knowledge-wise, there are various different levels of training and certification. So it depends on what you want. So at its most basic level, it would be like some kind of foundation program, which is the basic building blocks of NLP. That's the usual entry level type of thing. Maybe a few days training, maybe 4 or 5 days or something like that. Above that, then it's practitioner training, albeit that word does conjure up all sorts of peculiar things for some people. But practitioner training is, that gives you the skills, the knowledge, and the Wi-Fi way to be able to use them in such a way that you can make a difference for other people. Obviously for yourself, because you've got to start with yourself, because otherwise what are you doing? But, good, solid practitioner program. And there are a lot in the marketplace. Obviously we do that, but there are lots of them. So how do you pick the good ones? Always pick one that's accredited by one of the main professional bodies. And here in the UK, the main professional body is the ANLP, this Association of NLP. And you can go to the website and search, and you'll be able to find one of the right programs. But always get one that's certified or accredited, because otherwise you're probably wasting your money. And I can't tell you that the phone rings, somebody will be, hello, how can we help? I did this course online and I wanted to join the professional body, and they said it doesn't count. Can you help me? No, because what you've done is entertainment, not training. Because it's you can read a couple of texts and watch a couple of videos, but that's not going to give you the skills to be able to help other people. So you've got to pick a course that's accredited, because that will have gone through the process of checking, does this work, does this work, does this work, does this fit this standard, and so on.
And what's the benefit of being accredited then?
Well, it's been checked by somebody else other than, I could say, oh, the Tony Nutley Training Institute is the best in the world. Yes, come and give me your money and you'll be marvelous in no time at all. But I could
There's the clip for social media.
Yeah, please don't do that. But I could be completely delusional. Whereas if it's an accredited program, an outside body, one of the professional bodies, have said, let's check your training content, your lesson plans, your structure, the assessment process. Does this fit the standard that we have for accrediting a program? And if it does, great. If it doesn't, you get feedback and you want to change it, or you don't pay your fee and you don't become an accredited trainer.
I was thinking, I've done a lot of training. So I've not done NLP, but I've done a lot of training, and I've learned a lot about sales. And as you mentioned earlier, listening to people, two ears, one mouth, use them in that ratio. And when I think back to how I used to do it when I first started business, I was
Yeah.
shit. I didn't know anything. And the kind of conversations I were having were probably almost desperate in the sense of, oh, do you want a website? Do you want to work with us? And I'm so much better at it now. And
Yeah.
do you look back on how you were when you first started and think, my God, I didn't know anything back then?
When it comes to running a business,
Yeah.
yeah, sure, because I'd come from being an unemployed person, and I think this is often the shock people have. I can do this, I could do this, I could. Maybe you can do it, but can you also run a business? They're very different skills.
Hmm.
And this is one thing I learned for myself the hard way, was that just because I was good at, my job that I was doing at the time and good at doing NLP and coaching and all of that kind of stuff, running a business is a whole other set of skills. So yeah, we made mistakes, and some of them were costly, but boy, did we learn fast. And we sort of operate out of that NLP principle. There's no failure, only feedback. So when things did go sometimes hideously wrong, okay, what can we learn from this? Rather than going, we're doomed, we think, okay, what can we learn from this? How can we move forward? What's the message here? What do we really need to do to figure this out? And if you really operate out of that principle, even when it's quite painful sometimes, you think, yeah, I'm in a learning mode all of the time. We're just getting the feedback, getting the feedback. You learn very, very quickly. And then the other thing I always suggest to people is get advice. If you don't know, get advice. Don't wing it. And I often tell the story about the year we did our first accounts. And I thought, how hard could it be? I'll do it myself. I'm not a numbers guy, but I followed the instructions from HMRC to the letter, or so I thought. And then my partner said, well, look, if you get it wrong, you really get it wrong. And why don't you get somebody just to check it before you send it? And this is the days where you had to send it in. It wasn't all online. So I did. I got somebody to check it. They said, please tell me you haven't sent this to anybody. And I went, no, why? Because it makes you look like you're kind of defrauding HMRC,
Oh.
because the way you've put it together, it looks well dodgy. I went, really? And you're spending too much. You don't need to give them all this money. And I thought, right, lesson, let the experts do their thing. And so now we have an accountant and he does all of that stuff, and I don't get involved in it because clearly I'd end up in prison or something. So, get the right people to do the right job and know the limits of your own skills, and don't think I must do everything myself. No, 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 no. Get people who know what they're doing and who enjoy it. I mean, my accountant loves spreadsheets. He got excited recently because we did an extra column for books from overseas. I was thinking, my God, you sad man, but great. If that's what lights your candle and you're into that, great. To
Yeah.
me, just you've got to be joking. It's not really. So get the right people to help you.
Yeah.
And ask. If you ask people, you'd be surprised, especially when you're starting out in business. You ask people for help, more often than not, they'll go, sure, I'll help you out.
Hmm. Yeah, it never ceases to amaze me why people try to do their own accounts like that. Because there are some things you can do yourself that
Yeah.
are low risk or low cost to you, but accounts is not one of them. You get it wrong, you can either end up paying thousands and thousands of pounds too much, or worse.
Especially when it comes to VAT, which we fell into quite quickly. You just think, good God, how do I work this out? Trevor, you sort
Yeah.
this out. I'm not going to get involved because it's not worth the pain, quite
And what you
frankly.
said as well about your accountant enjoying spreadsheets, which is
Yeah,
weird. They are weird, aren't they, accountants?
it is weird.
I saw a talk recently, and the guy said that outsourcing is important. You got to outsource, and he said there's four things for it. You want to find somebody that can either do it faster than you, better
Yeah,
than you, cheaper than you, or they enjoy it.
yeah.
And it sounds like with the accountant, you've crossed quite a few of those barriers with that
Tick,
one
tick,
thing.
tick, tick.
Exactly.
But websites. I mean, I know you guys are involved in building websites and that sort of thing. Again, I tried to do one myself, WordPress, back in the day as it was, and it was okay, but it kept falling over and couldn't get certain things to work. And in the end, I thought, you know what, get someone to do it who knew what they were doing, and it was like night and day.
Yeah.
And now, of course, because it's so complicated now, I wouldn't even dream of doing anything with it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Anyone can build their own website. Anyone can. Anyone can do their own accounts.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's a good idea and it's the best for your business is another matter.
Yeah, I'd advise against it. Get somebody who know what they're doing, because it's not just about, having a front page and a couple of things when it comes to websites, which is fine if it's just going to be a static website. But the minute you start doing anything interesting, there are all sorts of other things involved, and plugins and offloading images and video and blah, 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 blah. No, get somebody else to do it. It's easier.
So when you started your business for the first time, when you were part-time
Yeah.
working for the other company, how did you get clients? What did you do to get your first paying client?
But yeah, well, I was a complete and utter slut, and I went to the opening of everything. I would go to anything where I could go and speak, shake hands, glad hand, networking. I went to everything. Women, mothers and babies morning, I would go and do a little talk to them. You name it, I did it. And we put adverts in some local press as well. Although that was very expensive, I can never really point to any real business from that, but I guess it raised our profile. But it was the networking. I mean, I literally did everything. And I'm not a great networker, and I had to force myself to do it at gunpoint in the morning. Go, you've got to go and do it. And after a while, people know who you are, and then you get a bit of business, and then you get some referrals, especially for coaching work. In my practice, and before you know it, you've got a business. But you really have to get yourself out there. I mean, I don't do any of that now, thank God. But I think you need to do it to begin with, because people don't know who you are. And we'd get articles printed wherever we could get them published and stuff. But that's how we built the business. It was just networking like a maniac to begin with.
Right, so you said you hate networking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't like it because typically as humans, we're not natural networkers. We don't like to go in and talk about ourselves. What advice have you got to give for people that are just starting out, do not want to do networking, but kind of have to?
Have a story. So I would say, hi, I'd always ask the other person about them first. Tell me about you. Because invariably they will then say, so tell me about you, and have a story. And the old thing about the old elevator pitch, have a story, but it doesn't need to be, elongated to the point of tedium. A couple of minutes, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is how I can add value. Would you like my card? Or would you like to have another meeting? Or, something very snappy, the elevator pitch type approach, but have a story. This is my story, and this is the reason why. There's a little bit of passion here. The reason why I do this. Really believe this will help you or whoever that might be. But yeah, have a story.
And you know what the next question is going to be, don't you?
What's that then?
What was your story?
Well, my story was, well, I guess it was that this stuff, personal development, NLP in particular, changed my life, and it probably helped you, because I really believe that it changed my life. And I can point to example for other clients that I've worked with, where it's either helped their business grow, or it's helped them personally, or even a bit of both. And, I've got lots of case studies I could point to where people went from being, let's say, miserable, unhappy, stuck state, wanting to, not do something great, to feeling passionate about life, being involved, enjoying things, and adding value to their families and their community. So, as I say, you've got to have a bit of passion about this. You have to believe in what you do. Because if you don't believe in what you do, you might as well just go work for a corporate PLC and just, turn up at 9 o'clock every day and do your thing and be on that hamster wheel, if that's what you want. Nothing against that.
Is that what people who work for corporate PLCs do? Is it they just turn up at 9 o'clock, clock in, clock out, and that's it? They don't care.
I'm probably exaggerating a little bit, because I know some of those people work very, very, very hard. But if you want to do your own thing, you've got to have a story, and you've got to be passionate about what you do. Don't just do it because it's not what I'm doing right now. Do it because you want to do it, and you really feel it's important to you, and you believe in it. Because the self-employed people who are successful are ones who really believe in what they're doing, and they have a passion for it. They love it. They think, I'm really making a difference here. I'm interested in the stuff, the geekiness of it, if you will. You'll read all the magazines, all the professional body stuff, and you'll read the books, and you'll go on to the webinars. You're interested in the thing, and so you're always refreshing your information and your knowledge, and you're sort of on it. And when people meet you, they go, wow, I didn't know that stuff. And we've been delivering the same training program for 25 years, but people often say who come back and assist on the program, or they missed a workshop 3 years ago and they come back to just fill in that gap. Crikey, it's so different every time. Yeah, it is, because I'm constantly refreshing myself. I'm constantly, learning new things, reading a new book, or an article's come out, or a new model, different way of working. It's never ending. It's fantastic.
See, that's interesting. I didn't realize that was the case, because I thought NLP was something that existed. That was it. That it doesn't evolve. That it doesn't get updated. It doesn't
No.
change. But it.
That's the beauty of NLP, as opposed to, and people will shout at the screen or the microphone or wherever they're listening to this. This often gets compared with CBT. So CBT is a set thing, and that's it. You don't change it. You can't change it. You get certified. That's it. Yeah, you can do some other training and stuff around it, but that's the set text, the set methodology, if you will. NLP, on the other hand, is constantly growing and changing because people are constantly modeling. Remember, NLP is the science of excellence. It's a subjective, it's the study of subjective experience. How do you do what you do? How does an expert or a really successful individual, a successful leader or a successful athlete or successful speaker, inspiring, charismatic speaker, how do they do that? So in the NLP modeling process, you model out how they do that through them using the tools of modeling, and you create a model, a tool that you can then teach other people. NLP is just a set of tools and models that have been modeled from expert people, great communicators, great leaders, great athletes, great team builders, whatever it is. That's what it is. It's just a set of tools and models that have been modeled from other people.
From athletes?
Sure, yeah, of course. Well, if you're a number one athlete, you've got a skill and a mindset and a belief set that is probably very different to the average guy in the street.
Yeah.
So what is it about them? So I want to know how do they get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go running in the park, even in the pouring rain? What's driving them? So what belief do they have? What passion? What kind of mental imagery do they have in their head when they get out at 5 o'clock in the morning in the pouring rain? If I model that, I can create a model I could teach other people who want to maybe improve their game in running or whatever the thing may be.
I suppose, yeah, I have seen that athletes have given talk to businesses on the winner's mindset, the never give up mindset. So yeah, I guess that does transgress into work and leadership as well, doesn't it?
For sure, absolutely. So the presupposition is, it's a fundamental presupposition in NLP. It's like a tenet, if you will. All human experience has structure, and all structure can be modeled. So whatever it is you're doing, you will have some, because we're all human, right? All the same neurology, no matter whether you're from Dublin, London, Timbuktu, it doesn't really matter. We all share the same neurology. And if I can understand what it is that enables you to achieve a specific task in a specific way, I can probably figure out how to do that for myself through that modeling process. Which is one of the things that interested me so much back, 30 years ago. And I thought, hang on a second, that means we can model the best salespeople, the best communicators, and turn this company around. And that's what we did.
I'm interested to know, when you come in and you coach leadership teams or managers or whatever it may be, do you get any kind of resistance from people on learning this kind of stuff because they think, well, it's a soft skill, it's a bit wishy-washy, it's not what I'm here for?
I think 25 years ago, yes, there was some of that. Not so much anymore. I think it's in the zeitgeist. People really understand that soft skills bring hard results, calculable, measurable, definite results. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody in a leadership position now who wouldn't think that, because the evidence is overwhelming. I mean, there are so many models, return on investments in coaching, development work. I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who really didn't believe that. And if you did, I'd be surprised, and I'd want to go, what is it about this that you don't believe all of this evidence that's before you? I mean, it would seem strange. The CIPD, as an example, publish, every year, report after report after report.
I thought so. I just wonder whether those sort of dinosaurs existed.
They may do, but I've not come across them. Maybe I'm just lucky.
Maybe you're lucky.
But it would, 25 years ago when we first started, I'd rock up at a company to pitch or whatever, and there was some of that, or you'd be assigned a team to do some training, and you could the crossed arms, you could see them sat thinking, "Oh God, why am I here?"
That's the kind of look I was going for. Yeah,
Yeah, you don't. I mean,
oh, impress me, pal, impress me.
Yeah, and well, not even impress, entertain me almost. I mean, I've not had that for a long, long, long time, years. I think most people now understand this is a great opportunity to be better
and to earn more money and to be more successful.
Yeah, to be more productive. And somebody else is paying for it, because investing in your professional and indeed personal development ain't cheap some of the time. You go on some of these courses, they're not cheap. So if your business is paying for you to become a better person, that's great. Grab it with both hands.
Okay. You mentioned after you did all the networking early on and you started to get clients through that, you don't do it anymore. So what do you do now to get business, and what changed over the years?
Well, we do a lot of online stuff, and obviously we publish huge amount on the website, and we give away a huge amount of content and support to just about anybody who wants to sign up for it. It's free. Just go to the website and sign up. I'm obviously well known in the industry because I've been around for such a long time. I think in many ways that's probably the reason why we're still here, is because we're still here, if that makes sense. Because when the economic collapse happened, back in 2010, and when all the banks collapsed.
Yeah, 2009, because I'd just taken out a mortgage before it all collapsed.
Yeah, painful. So many training companies disappeared literally overnight in some cases, and some big names that I knew very, very well. I kind of admired from at a distance. To be like them. But they just disappeared because they were so top heavy. We were just a small team, very nimble, very agile, and we're able to contract and expand accordingly. So to answer your question, I think we've been around a long time. We do a lot of stuff online, a lot of referrals, because we bend over backwards as much as we can to really deliver on what we say we'll deliver. Quality, quality, quality. It's mostly referrals, I suppose. Yeah. And people say, "Oh, my friend said," or "My colleague went on your course and they said it was really good. Could you come and do something for us?" Or or I came across something on LinkedIn and I read it and I realized it was you guys. Would you like to? And go, yeah, let's have a conversation.
But of course, doing what you do, being a coach and a trainer, is selling time for money. How have you scaled the business so that you don't have that, I can't take time off, I can't be ill, I can't go away for any period of time?
Yeah, that's how we started. And it was just me to start with. I mean, the other people did little bits, but it was mostly exactly as you describe. Time equals whatever money came in. If I wasn't working, we weren't eating, type thing. It's different now. We have a team. A lot of the stuff is self-service on the website. You just log in and it's all pre-recorded videos. You get support from a tutor, but they're all scheduled calls from tutors. The main programs like the NLP and the coach programs, obviously they're live, but they're at weekends. And again, it's not all me. We have a team of people who do that. So it's a very, very different approach. That said, a couple of my in-laws and people that I know have retired recently, and people say, "Oh, you should retire, Tony." And I'm thinking, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, but do I really want to? Because I actually enjoy what I do. So yeah, I might do a little bit less as the years go on, but I can never see myself really giving up. There's a few people who want to sort of work with us and take more of an interest and support ownership of the business, which will probably happen at some point. But at the minute, I really do enjoy what I'm doing, and I have that latitude where I do as much or as little as I want. Mostly I probably still do too much, but it's because I really enjoy it.
Well, what are your plans then for the future in terms of scaling or exiting the business?
Well, we still think there's scope to grow, and new qualifications coming online that we think we're really interested in delivering, because we think they fit our experience in delivering and our knowledge base, the team and myself. So we're looking at a couple of really, really interesting things at the moment. So hopefully we'll do that. The Be Inspired group, which we launched last year, really, really excited for that. So that's really grown a massive amount. So that's an open program to anybody who's interested in personal development. Just go to the website, click on Be Inspired Group, join. Every day you get a motivational quote. Every week you get a self-coaching video, usually me on the video. And then once a month we have a live event where we have some training, some kind of content, and a special guest who we interview, not dissimilar to this process, to be honest with you, but obviously they're connected to personal development in some way. I'm really enjoying that because I feel like I'm doing the thing that we started off to do before it became a proper business, which is make a big difference and share the knowledge with people. So we're doing that as well as having the business now. Exit wise, we've had those conversations with a few people, and I think they're becoming more integrated over a period of time, supporting the business and being more involved. And one in particular, quite strong mentor of mine, but he clearly has made it very clear he would like to buy the business from us at some point. And I said, yeah, maybe we will. I guess I'm not getting any younger. Big birthday coming up very soon, so maybe I will think.
40th coming up soon, is it?
Oh, add 20 more years. oh, if it was just 40. Yeah, I'd have those 20 years back. So yeah, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I still feel there's things to do that I really want to do.
You've mentioned the website a few times, but you've not said what it is. What's the website address?
All right. So it's ukcpd.co.uk.
ukcpt.co.uk. I'll pop that in the description as well, below the podcast and below the video, so people can click on that. So you mentioned you've got live training on the weekends. You've got pre-recorded on the website. What's the kind of split between what you do now in terms of your business of pre-recorded, live, online, and face-to-face training?
Face-to-face training, we don't do any.
Oh, none at all.
No. So even our live programs are via Zoom, just like this right now. We don't do any. We did have, before the pandemic, we did have a training center in Swindon, which we had 2 training rooms, student lounge, the student library, coffee, tea, all of that kind of stuff. COVID happened. I remember very clearly Boris saying, you must stay at home. And I was like freaking out. We had 3 programs running at the time. What the hell are we going to do? Somebody said, have you tried Zoom? I'd never even heard of Zoom. So we figured
many of us hadn't at that point.
No, we figured out what would work. We made a few mistakes, to be honest with you, things that were like really car crashes. But you learn fast and you pick up and you have another go. And I think now it's as close as you can be to being in the classroom like it used to be. So it's all online. We did want to go back after the pandemic, but nobody else wanted to. I think, in fact,
really,
I think I was the only one. But and so we saved ourselves a small fortune by not renewing the lease on the building. And so it's online. So it allowed us to slightly reduce the cost of the programs and in many ways share more content with the students, because anytime they log onto the platform, so you log onto our website as a student, you get access to all of your course material, all of the videos. We record all of the live things. They got access to all of that, tons and tons of research documents and other supplemental work to study material to support their course and their qualifications. So in many ways, I think, maybe you do miss something about being, pressing the flesh, being in person, but it's as near as damn it. And we do really support our students a lot.
Did you have any of the online video and the online documents before COVID, or has that all come in since?
Yeah, we had nothing.
So how quickly did you, presumably you had events booked up as well throughout COVID that you then had to cancel. How quickly were you then able to change and put stuff online?
It was extremely painful and extremely slow because the website we had did not lend itself to doing that at all. So we had to use external things to make that work to begin with. It's now all integrated into our brand new website, which is just one big learning platform. But it was difficult. And I think at the time, not all of the tools we use now, a lot of them didn't exist properly then. I think the industry, the online IT industry, have gotten so much faster and slicker at developing tools for training and development. I think Bill Gates said, if the one good thing that came out of COVID was that it accelerated the online meeting, video conferencing, training, education systems by years, and it did. I mean, now it's just so slick, and our website is pucker. It really, really is. And we're about to hopefully later in the year move to having an app on your phone. So it'll be all your courses, you'll be able to access them, all the live training on your phone, if you so wished, or your tablet, I guess. But yeah, we're hoping to do that as well very, very soon.
It's interesting you went through that, because we've got a client that used to do face-to-face training. He's in a different industry to yours. He teaches people their CMAP, Certificate in Mortgage Advice and Practice, to become mortgage brokers. And he did it all face-to-face in Warrington. And we'd been telling him for years, you should be doing this online. You should be recording these and doing it online and selling it across the whole of the UK rather than just the Northwest. When COVID happens, he had to cancel all of his training events. He was looking at refunding everybody that had booked on. And he came to us and said, what can we do with the website? So, well, we've told you for years about this. He recorded all of his material over a weekend, and we had his website able to sell on-demand courses within the period of about a week. So everybody had booked on, he enlisted on the online courses, and everyone was retraining. He had his best year in 2020 when it looked like he was going to go under. And I love telling that story. It's a brilliant story of like almost tragedy to success.
Yes, and I will echo that experience. So he was lucky he had you. We didn't have a you per se to change the website around, but we did have somebody we did eventually find the right people to help us. But I think a lot of people were doing the same thing, scrabbling around. So the resource was thin, I think. But anyway, we probably had our best 2 years during the lockdowns because people were sat at home with nothing to do. And so people just signed up for courses. I mean, I did more tutor calls in the evening during the lockdown period than I probably did the rest of the whole professional life that I've had. It was like call after call after call, helping students navigate the online material and answer their questions. So it was extraordinary. And I think in many ways, that's why we never really went back to the training center, even though I kind of emotionally wanted to. I think people thought, I don't want to have to come to Swindon to do the training. I don't need to. And it's worked out so much better because now we've got students literally around the world. I mean, I never thought we would have students in Japan or, Central Europe, or we got a student currently in Bangladesh studying a level 7 qualification. I mean, it would never have happened. And now we do. And so in many ways, sounds a bit perverse. Thank COVID for helping us, because in a way it did help our business. Because, I wouldn't think even dream of going back now, because it would just be crazy. It's just too expensive.
It is mad, isn't it? How some businesses got an absolute surge because of it. I mean, we did brilliant out of COVID because so many businesses had to go online that weren't previously doing it. So we did fantastic out of it. But adversely, we know others that went under. I mean, we had a client in travel.
Oh, well, yeah.
Their business stopped. He completely pivoted and went to cleaning services, which everybody needed at the time because everybody
bleach everything.
Bleach everything, exactly. So that's just a total departure for him, but fair play to him for doing that. Our client, incidentally, has gone back to doing face-to-face as well, because like you, he missed it and he loves it. But he didn't have other members of his team going, no, we don't want to do that. Don't do that. So he took that decision himself.
So we're going to supplement it next year. So because a few students said, "Oh, let's have a get together or do something." So we're going to do that. We're planning it now. We're going to have UKCPD live in person, like an over a weekend conference type event. Where we'll have maybe some training, but more of a social part would be the biggest part, I think. But we will have some content as well as some training, maybe even a guest speaker. Because I think it would be good to get all the members together, all college members, and try and have a shingding, as it were. I think that might be good fun. Because I do miss that, pressing the flesh and really sort of meeting people properly. That said, I'm so adept now. I come into my office here at home, I turn my computer on in the morning, flip open, Zoom, and my first coaching client, or if it's just a discovery call with a potential student, I just do it. I don't even think about it anymore. I just do it. Whereas before it was like, God, I'm on a camera, I'm on Zoom, and it was all very stressy. But now it's just second nature to me now.
Yeah, it is amazing how not just technology, as you said, as Bill Gates said, technology has advanced because of COVID. It's amazing how we as a people have advanced as well.
Yeah, we've
been comfortable
really
with this.
Yeah, really, really much so. I did some in-person training for a company last year, and I remember thinking, I was on the train going up to London to do it, thinking, this is the first face-to-face training I've done since before COVID. And it was like, and actually I got nervous because I hadn't done it for so long. It's thinking, bloody hell, it's going to be a bit But it was fine, and I really enjoyed it. And I thought, yeah, let's do something with all the members. Well, the ones who, if you live in Bangladesh, I guess it's going to be tricky to come to somewhere in England, or where we'll do it, probably Midlands, somewhere in the middle. I don't know, but yeah, it'll be fun.
Hilton Metropole, that's really easy to get to.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I do a Transformers convention. I'm going there in August, and BNI just did its national conference there as well.
where's that? Say again.
The
Sorry.
Hilton Metropole. It's the Hilton Hotel. It's right by the NEC.
All right.
It hasn't got the cost of the NEC because obviously it's
Yeah.
not as big as the NEC, but it's really central, easy to get to. It's got its own train station. Perfect.
Nice.
Give that a look. They do
Oh
lots
no.
of events, lots of conferences there. The quilting convention is there every year. Did you know there was a quilting convention? There is.
No, and I might give that a miss.
The salsa convention is there as well, which is a little bit more exciting. But you mentioned earlier, and I have to ask this because I'd kick myself if I didn't. You said when you first did your online Zoom classes, there were some car crashes.
Mm.
Can you give an example of what a car crash was?
Well, what we were trying to do was do what we do live online, and you can't do it. You got to change how you do it, and how you organize the experiential part of the learning. Because normally, learning coaching or NLP, people will be in groups and they will be practicing things. So, well, how the hell are we going to do that? And we tried to figure that out and try to have people opposite each other, and the camera moving around like, I mean, I look back at those videos now and I kind of go, what were we thinking? Well, we didn't know,
No.
it's what you don't know, you don't know. Whereas now, we're really adept at using the breakout rooms and using video and other sort of training aids. Although my friend and colleague and fellow trainer still uses a flip chart online, whereas I use PowerPoint and video because I think it's far more useful when you're training online. So yeah, it was things like that, and just I think when we added the tutor calls after every weekend, that really made a big difference. So people felt reassured and they could ask questions that they'd sort of mulled about over the weekend. We still send out, hard copy training manuals, and that because we did experiment with digital things, but that doesn't really work. People want, a proper manual so they can write on and turn the page and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think it's just like we said about, when you start learning, setting up your own business. You learn as you go, and just don't be afraid to make mistakes because you will make them, but treat them as learning experiences, and then I think you'll be fine.
And have you ever looked back and missed your corporate world?
No, not at all. No, and I mean, interesting. I was at a barbecue yesterday afternoon, and they said, "Oh, if things went sort of tits up and you had to get a job," and I sort of laughed. I thought, well, I probably wouldn't bother anyway, but if I did have to, I think I'd be just a nightmare employee because I've just worked for myself for so long now. I just think I can't be doing all the politics and nonsense. It's just not me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So no, I don't miss it at all.
I think I'd be the same. I'd be unemployable now.
Yeah, I think I would be. And the thought of being trapped in a glass box somewhere, in a sort of cubicle or something, I thought, no, that's not for me. I'm too old now. That's for younger lads and lassies who want to do that sort of thing, but it's not for me.
Yeah, I used to be in a glass box years ago. It wasn't too bad because most people weren't in the glass box, so I was special. But no, it wasn't good.
No.
So as a final point, because we're almost out of time now, for someone that's listening to this thinking, fantastic, I want to hear more about NLP, I want to work with this guy, whether it's as online Zoom or whether it's pre-recorded videos, what's the best way for someone to find out more about you and your business?
Okay, sure. So if you go to our website, ukcpd.co.uk, you'll find all of that information on there. You can find me on LinkedIn, Tony Nutley. You'll find me on LinkedIn. My coaching website is my name, tonynutley.com. So there's the two parts of the business. There's the training business and there's my personal coaching business as well. And you'll find, we're on all social media. Just look my name up and you'll find me. I'm not hard to find, I should have thought. So yeah. Albeit I will tell you a very quick story about this. There is another famous Tony Nutley who's more famous than me. He's a photographer, but he's a glamour photographer. And years ago, so I said to somebody glibly, "Oh, just look me up on the line. Online, you'll find me." And then I didn't hear from them. And then I met them again. They went, "Yeah, I did look you up. Wow." I went, "What do you mean, wow?" when I say glamour photography, I'm talking glamour.
Oh yeah.
I went, oh, I did not know this. He's recently passed away, so I think a lot of that stuff is disappearing, but that was a slightly amusing moment.
You know what you just said now. One of our guys is going to be editing this video. They're going to get to this point and think, well, I need to find a picture of Tony Nutley.
Yeah, they're going to try and do
the
that.
podcast. If Nick is editing this video, he's going to be a good hour and a half researching images of Tony Nutley now.
Yeah, he's much older than me, and he's passed away recently. But yeah, glamour photography. That's not me. That I do like photography, and if you could see my wall here, you'd see a lot of my photographs, but they ain't glamour.
They ain't glamour. So yeah, everybody listening, just Google Tony Nutley images and see what you find.
See what you find. Yeah.
Everyone's going to do that now. Everyone's
I know. Oh God, why did I tell that story?
Yeah, cheers. Thank you. Thank you, Tony. It's been a pleasure listening to you. And
yes, great fun. I've enjoyed it.